Hi, everyone. Welcome to our final bridge session today. We are going to be talking about critically thinking and what that looks like for a high schooler. So I will share my screen. All right. Okay, so today we will evaluate the impact of critical thinking and incorporate these skills in your high school experience and everyday life. So what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is the ability of thinking for yourself. Critical thinkers ask questions to learn information, compare facts, and create their own conclusions. We are going to watch a short video about critical thinking.
Critical thinking is all about asking questions. The right questions. Questions that help you assess both the meaning and the significance of claims and arguments. Building these skills and applying them in your life makes it easier for you to assess evidence, evaluate arguments, and adapt your thinking so you stay switched on and engaged in different situations. Critical thinking involves stepping back from a situation to enable you to see all the angles before making judgments or taking decisions. It means identifying the key points, analyzing the sources of information, weighing up different types of evidence, just as a judge and jury would do in a court of law, and putting it all together into your own independent, thought-through point of view. One thing that it's very important to realize is that critical thinking isn't about being critical. And it's about much more than just finding flaws in other people's claims. By itself, that isn't enough to give you an edge. To be a true critical thinker means being creative, reflective, and adaptable, evaluating the evidence to decide for yourself what is accurate, what is relevant, and do I have sufficient information to take a decision on this topic? Thinking critically means taking a stand for yourself. It can be difficult not to be swayed by close family or friends' views on things, or certain beliefs that just feel right. But learning how to use these higher order thinking skills can help you to feel much more confident in your own opinions and conclusions. Critical thinking is also about a sense of discovery and excitement, not only about learning, but evaluating arguments to see how they stand up, and filtering for yourself what resonates as right or wrong. By using these techniques, you'll find yourself becoming a clearer, better thinker. McCat, learn better, think smarter, aim higher.
All right. So based on the video, how often do you think you are exercising your critical thinking skills? So do you feel like you are asking the right questions, looking at the evidence, researching a little more, or do you feel like you more often than not just kind of think, just on a surface level and don't dig too deep into things? So what do you think? I feel like with some things, I really dig deep, and some things I don't dig real deep. And that's okay too. Okay, so critically thinking skills help you make strong decisions. It can be scary to make big choices on your own. When you use critical thinking, however, you ask many different sources for information to help you choose the best options. And when you get into high school, you will have to write essays. And part of writing those essays is asking questions and then finding the answers based on multiple sources. So in essentially you kind of have to critically think as you're writing those essays, and hopefully you're not afraid of writing. It's really not as scary as you think it is. The teachers do a really good job of breaking it all down. But that's essentially what critical thinking is asking questions and then going to multiple sources to find the answers. So critical thinkers ask many different sources for information. Making a list of questions and listing sources is a great way to critically think through a decision. Okay, so we are going to watch another video on the 5 tips to improve your critical thinking. Okay, so just briefly, you have to formulate a question, gather information, apply the information, consider the implications, and explore other points of view. So we will go ahead and watch that here.
Every day, a sea of decisions stretches before us. Some are small and unimportant, but others have a larger impact on our lives. For example, which politician should I vote for? Should I try the latest diet craze? Or will email make me a millionaire? We're bombarded with so many decisions that it's impossible to make a perfect choice every time. But there are many ways to improve our chances, and one particularly effective technique is critical thinking. This is a way of approaching a question that allows us to carefully deconstruct a situation, reveal its hidden issues, such as bias and manipulation, and make the best decision. If the critical part sounds negative, that's because, in a way, it is. Rather than choosing an answer because it feels right, a person who uses critical thinking subjects all available options to scrutiny and skepticism. Using the tools at their disposal, they'll eliminate everything but the most useful and reliable information. There are many different ways of approaching critical thinking, but here's one 5-step process that may help you solve any number of problems. 1. Formulate your question. In other words, know what you're looking for. This isn't always as straightforward as it sounds. For example, if you're deciding whether to try out the newest diet craze, your reasons for doing so may be obscured by other factors, like claims that you'll see results in just 2 weeks. But if you approach the situation with a clear view of what you're actually trying to accomplish by dieting, whether that's weight loss, better nutrition, or having more energy, that'll equip you to sift through this information critically, find what you're looking for, and decide whether the new fad really suits your needs. 2. Gather your information. There's lots of it out there, so having a clear idea of your question will help you determine what's relevant. If you're trying to decide on a diet to improve your nutrition, you may ask an expert for their advice or seek other people's testimonies. Information gathering helps you weigh different options, moving you closer to a decision that meets your goal. 3. Apply the information, something you do by asking critical questions. Facing a decision, ask yourself, what concepts are at work? What assumptions exist? Is my interpretation of the information logically sound? For example, in an email that promises you millions, you should consider, what is shaping my approach to this situation? Do I assume the sender is telling the truth? Based on the evidence, is it logical to assume I'll win any money? 4. Consider the implications. Imagine it's election time, and you've selected a political candidate based on their promise to make it cheaper for drivers to fill up on gas. At first glance, that seems great, but what about the long-term environmental effects? If gasoline use is less restricted by cost, this could also cause a huge surge in air pollution, an unintended consequence that's important to think about. 5. Explore other points of view. Ask yourself why so many people are drawn to the policies of the opposing political candidate. Even if you disagree with everything that candidate says, exploring the full spectrum of viewpoints might explain why some policies that don't seem valid to you appeal to others. This will allow you to explore alternatives, evaluate your own choices, and ultimately help you make more informed decisions. This 5-step process is just one tool, and it certainly won't eradicate difficult decisions from our lives, but it can help us increase the number of positive choices we make. Critical thinking can give us the tools to sift through a sea of information and find what we're looking for. And if enough of us use it, it has the power to make the world a more reasonable place.
Okay. So again, make sure to formulate your question, gather information, apply the information, consider the implications, and then explore other viewpoints. Okay, so which do you use most often? Do you go through all the steps when you critically think, or do you kind of start at maybe just asking questions and then finding answers? One piece that we do like to present when they're in high school is looking at other viewpoints. Maybe you don't necessarily agree with those viewpoints, but just understanding the why to those different viewpoints, maybe what makes them look good to those people, and then considering those things, not necessarily changing our own stance, but just looking at different points of view. Okay, so here are sentence stems for higher level conversations in the classroom. So we want students to be able to use appropriate academic language, and these are all examples of that. So there's clarifying, paraphrasing, agreeing, disagreeing, building on, and summarizing. So to be clear, you're saying that. Could you give me your thesis in one sentence? And a thesis is basically like your main point or your claim, either in an argument or in an argument of paper or persuasive paper. Paraphrasing, put another way, you're saying, so you're saying that. Agreeing, I agree with Y because Z's point about X was important because, and then disagreeing, I see it differently because the evidence I've seen suggests something different. And this is kind of hard sometimes because for kids, they don't really want to disagree with their peers or their teacher, but there's a way to say it, and you can respectfully say it, especially if there's evidence backed up by what you say. So we like to explore those different pathways, and especially in English, so that students have the ability to critically think for themselves, right? Building on why I mentioned that, yes, and furthermore, and then summarizing. Overall, what I'm trying to say is, and then my whole point in one sentence is, ... Okay, so here's kind of a flow chart. If you're a flow chart kind of person, on the steps for critically thinking. So we start with, what do I know? Okay, so what do you know about the situation? What's your past experience? And then what's any relevant knowledge that you already have or know about? And then the next question is, how do I know? How do I know about, the experiences, the situations, the relevant knowledge? Did I get that information from reliable sources, or did I get them from assuming, or did I get it from a personal bias, right? And so we have to explore those different avenues. What is important? So we have to look and see what is important in the grand scheme of things. So priority issues, short term and long term, and then obviously goals, right? What's the goal of it? What is missing from known information from my understanding of the situation? Okay, so always looking at the other side, looking for any holes, and trying to figure out, what you could fill in those situations. And then what is my plan of action? What are the next steps to take? And then how did I do? So after you find the evidence and implement your plan, it's always good to look back and assess yourself. So what went well, what could have been improved on, and what did I learn? So those are some good steps if you are thinking through either a decision, or maybe you're doing a research paper. This is a good way to think about how you could work through that. Okay, so here are 8 examples of how to expand your critical thinking skills as a high school student. Okay, and these are just examples. Nobody is assigning these things to you, but if you're like, you know what, I really want to practice my critical thinking skills and expand on them. Here's maybe some good ideas for you. Okay, so create a podcast. Students can research a topic of interest, critically analyze different perspectives or arguments related to that topic, and then create a podcast episode where they present their findings and insights. Okay, so um, if you've ever listened to a podcast before, people talk about all different things, and sometimes they bring in professionals in the field and interview them. That would be a good idea too. Podcasts are a big thing right now. Designing a social media campaign. So students can choose an issue or cause they care about, critically evaluate the key messages and strategies used in existing social media campaigns related to that issue, and then design their own campaign with effective messaging and calls to action. Okay, so the key term is effective messaging, right? You don't want to blow anything out of proportion, or you don't want to create um, lies, right? Or um, misinformation, but building on key information that's true and factual, and then calling people to action, right? If you really believe in that, um, like for example, if you know your neighborhood just has a ton of trash around it, and um, maybe you live near a freeway and people just throw their trash out of their car and then it comes into your neighborhood. What could you do about that? And what's the root problem? And how can you help, right? And asking people to help, keep that area clean and your neighborhood clean. Okay, organizing a mock trial. So I know that when I was in high school, we would do this in English every once in a while, where we were learning about a topic and then we would have two different sides to that topic, and then we would have essentially like a mock trial. So students can research a historical or current legal case, critically analyze the evidence and arguments presented by both sides, and then role play as lawyers, witnesses, and jurors in a mock trial where they present their arguments and reach a verdict based on the evidence. Organizing a community service project. Students can identify a community need or issue, critically assess the root causes and potential solutions, collaborate with local organizations or stakeholders, and then plan and implement a service project to address the issue and make a positive impact with their community. And I think this is so great for high school students to kind of rise above themselves and help other people and serve other people. That is always a great experience. It'll help them, have a sense of meaning and build confidence for them. And also you're helping other people. So if there's something that your high school student can identify in the community as a need, and if they can help meet that need, what an awesome thing, right? Okay, developing a digital portfolio. Students can collect samples of their work from various subjects and extracurricular activities, critically reflect on their learning experiences and achievements, and then create a digital portfolio showcasing their skills, accomplishments, and personal growth over time. This could be kind of cool. Every year, maybe you start out with goals with your child or your student, and then you at the end of the year, collect a bunch of pieces of works and create a portfolio, and then look back and see if you met those goals. That would be pretty cool if you did that every year. And then maybe going a step further, if you looked all the way from your freshman year and then right before you graduate, look at all the work that you have completed and see how much you've grown. That is real satisfying. Okay, hosting a TED Ed club. So TED Talks, the last video that we watched is a TED Talk, and usually it's speakers in the field and they talk about different topics, right? So students can join or start a TED Ed club at their school where they watch and critically analyze TED Talks on various topics, discuss ideas with their peers, and then develop and present their own TED style talks on topics they're passionate about. Leading a book club, students can choose a thought-provoking book to read as a group, critically analyze the themes, characters, and messages in the book, and then facilitate discussions where they share their interpretations, ask questions, and explore different perspectives with their peers. And if your student really likes to read, like my daughter, for example, she like hides pillows under her book. She just loves reading, and that's such a great thing. But really connecting with other students who like to read too, and really digging deep into different perspectives and ideas about text, like that is top notch, academia there. Okay, creating a business plan. Students can develop a business idea, critically evaluate markets or trends and potential competitors, analyze financial projections and risks, and then create a comprehensive business plan outlining their strategy for success. And I have had several students who, in our setting, they have their own businesses. I have one student who makes candles with essential oils and puts like pretty flowers in them. And she has an Etsy shop. And I think that's so awesome for kids to do that, even if it's something so small, right? But being able to see like, okay, my product is selling or it's not selling, and then being able to critically analyze like, okay, maybe it's a little more expensive, or maybe there's just too many of these types of candles out there, and maybe I need to find something else or a niche. So that is such a great thing for kids, maybe a good way for them to make money as well, especially those kids who want to have their own businesses. This would be a great start to that. Okay, so what did you take away from these sessions? Was there anything that caught your eye? Maybe some of those tips at the end that talked about different ideas on how to put critical thinking into practice? Maybe the steps of critically thinking, maybe that guide on like the steps to take for critically thinking. You could use that when writing an essay, or if you're making a decision, looking at that and maybe writing down all the information. That might be a way to visualize and help you get through an essay, or if you're having a problem, create a better solution that way. Okay, well, thank you so much. I have enjoyed seeing all of you here and presenting on different skills that high schoolers really need. If you ever need anything, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Heather Piccolo, and my email is heatherpiccolo@yosemitevalleycharter.org. All of our recordings will be posted on our website, so if you ever want to go back and refer to something, feel free to do that. All right, you guys have a great day. Bye.